Okay. Are we ready? Today we're breaking down chapters 10, 11, and 12 of Erika Jayne's book, Pretty Mess. It's expensive to be Erika Jayne. And if you really want to know about Erika Jayne, then you'll be ready for tonight's chapters. Chapters 10, 11, and 12. We're going to dissect them today. Make sure you're taking notes, or make sure, is there a live tomorrow? No, we never go live on Wednesdays, Brat. Bravo by Brat. We go live every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Today is Tuesday, right? Don't be playing with me. Hi, Peyton. How you doing? What's going on, guys? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. All right. So, yes, we will be breaking down chapters 10, 11, and 12 of Erika Jayne's book. These chapters get into like the Erika Jayne music career, the persona. She talks a lot about starting the music career, Tom's involvement in it. She says some really interesting stuff about Tom's not just his involvement in her business, but her involvement in his business as well. Chapter 11 was really not that juicy, and chapter 12 was a little meh, but there are some interesting tidbits that were released in both of those chapters. Get ready, because we will be doing quiz time at the end of this. We'll be giving away free merch or some no filter rosé. Hi. I'm gonna crack mine open right now. Who's drinking with me? Are y'all getting litty city? I'm drinking some Drag Me tonight, because that is the vibe. I was fighting with someone in the DMs today. ASMR. Hi, welcome in, guys. Okay. All right, let's start things off with chapter 10. Chapter 10 is called Fantasy Love Escape, and it's about a fantasy love escape. And she is here to tell us that she's here to give us the lowdown on Erika Jayne. And she says Erika Jayne is not here to cure cancer or create world peace. And we're like, yeah, no shit. She's here to rip off orphans and widows. JK. That was mean. But she says that Erika Jayne has a very zero fucks attitude, which obviously is part of what we're seeing right now in the public. Obviously, Erika Jayne has never been at the crux of a scandal. Now she is, and we're seeing how Erika Jayne handles scandal. She said that Erika Jayne helped her escape being Erika Girardi, that she very much lived her life in the shadow of Tom Girardi, who's her husband. She said that she remembers one day getting an invitation from one of Tom's clients, and his wife was performing. And she noticed that the director of the performance was Travis Payne. And she says, oh, Travis Payne, I know Travis Payne. I went to high school with Travis Payne. Trust me, there are a lot of people that went to high school with me too. Bye, bitch. She was like, I went to high school with Travis Payne, and he's like a brother to me. And he starred in Pippin. Remember Pippin when she talked, the chapter where she talked about being a senior in high school and how the theater director made her participate in Pippin, which was the school musical, and she got suckered into it, or else she wasn't going to be able to get her diploma. And then that Pippin, it was the play that she walked out on when remember there was like another girl cast in it, and she was like, oh, I hate this, and this other girl got the part, and so she like walked out in the middle of the performance. That was Pippin. I'm saying Pippin so many times because it may be a quiz question later. But so anyway, Travis Payne was the guy that she recognized from the performance, and then she ended up calling Travis Payne, and she's like, "Hey, remember in the days when we were in Pippin together?" And he was like, "Hey, Erika Girardi, Erika Chahoy, I remember those days when we were in Pippin together. It's me, Travis Payne, like Liam Payne, but Travis Barker meets Liam Payne." And Erika's like, "This bitch is out here doing performances. Why can't I do a performance, Travis?" And Travis is like, "You are a performer, bitch. You should do a performance too." And she's like, "If I can do it, and if she can do it, I can do it." And Travis is like, "Let me show you what's possible." And then he opened up the cabinet of Erika Jayne. But she said that, you know, her life with Tom was great, but none of it was ever enough. And she had to realize her own dream. She very much was living in his shadow, and she wanted success. And she's like, he has success. Why not me? Why can't I have success too? She said that Tom was very smart and aggressive, but Machiavellian, but she ended up being his best protege, you know, like a little 6-year-old playing the piano. She said that she had no expectations of creating the Erika Jayne brand other than to awaken the dragon within her and to take her back to her roots of performing. She then also talks about this producer, Peter Raffleson, who talked about how she could have a music career now, even though she was 35 at the time, and how basically you're not really selling albums anymore. you're here to create music and you can distribute it digitally, and how this would be really great. And your husband's really rich and he can obviously afford to buy you a music career. And she was like, okay, well, it's expensive to be me. Let me go see if my husband will buy me this music career. And then she went to him and she's like, hey, Tom, can you buy me this music career for Christmas and for my birthday? I don't want any gifts for my birthday and no gifts for Christmas. I just want this music career. Please, Daddy, please. And then Tom was like, I need paperwork and you need to show me what this is going to be. Because if this is going to be an investment, then show me the money. And so she provided a production budget and she provided songs and a timeline and studio sessions. And Tom was like, all right, let's do it. Let's pay these bills. Make it rain like Rihanna. And she says that she also talks about her role in his business. And she said that she never involved herself. Like, this is actually pretty key. She said, I never involved myself in his business. I never offered unsolicited advice. I had never gotten into office politics. I had never done anything but be the cheerleader, believe in him, and be present for him. Which is interesting. It sounds like she's painting the role of being like the supportive wife, but not really the mastermind in any of the Girardi Keys business dealings. Even though in the earlier chapters, she did say that he would ask for her opinion on certain cases. In this chapter, she's like, he really just wanted a layman's opinion, but my job was really to cheerlead, to believe in him, and to entertain the other wives because they were total ding-dong dits. And I needed a music career to show them that it's expensive to be me and I can do more than shop at Neiman Marcus. So that Tom never expected her to deliver any #1 singles, and that he really wasn't expecting her. He wasn't expecting this to really go anywhere. It was more of a vanity project the way he saw it. And it seems like that may be how she saw it too. But it's really interesting that she talks about how Tom really didn't see this as being, there being much of an ROI. It didn't seem, the impression of the way she writes this chapter is that Tom knew that this was basically money going down the drain. And it was really just to keep her happy. And he's like, all right, well, if I don't have to buy you a Christmas gift, then I guess this covers it. Let me just buy you some music videos and, a couple of spots on the dance charts. So it's interesting though, because we now know that he was writing off her expenses for the Erika Jayne brand as loans, or at least in the tax returns, he was writing them off as loans. But usually but now that she's saying that he really didn't expect it to be successful, it really is starting to make it look like he was never expecting to make any of this money back, that it really was just for the tax loophole of being able to write these things off and not have to pay taxes on them. Because it doesn't look like either of them was expecting this music career to kind of take off. She kind of makes it seem like, she just needed to get her performer itch out, and he was kind of like just trying to make her happy. And I would imagine that there's no actual contracts in place that Girardi Keys and EJ Global effectively signed together acknowledging these loans as actual loans. Normally, this is where the loan argument gets a little murky in the waters, because typically if you're taking out a loan, if you or I want to go and take out a loan and we go to a lender, we go to a bank, we go to a friend, usually there's some type of formal written contract where both parties sign it. There are, dates in terms of what the projected numbers are, what the projected ROI is, what the percentage of interest might be, what date you have until to pay things back. If I'm going to go to the Apple store right now and try to take out an Apple credit card, then they're going to be like, okay, you have interest free for the first 18 months. And then after that, here's the percentage of interest that you have to pay if you don't pay it back on time. And, there's just usually some sort of formal contract. So because there wasn't a formal contract, she's not really expecting this to be a big money generator. Tom's not really expecting this to be a big money generator. It is starting to look like the Erika Jayne brand loans were really just tax loopholes. How that's going to play out in court, I'm pretty sure her legal team will probably end up trying to bring up that argument. From what I've heard from Evan C. Borges, who is her attorney, it doesn't seem like he's very much clear in the sense that Erika doesn't have to pay back any of those debts. That if the law matters, she shouldn't have to pay back any of those debts because she isn't responsible for them, and they should be looking at Tom Girardi and Girardi Keys. So, was Erika Jayne something he convinced his clients to end up investing in? Because as we know, there were rumblings of, or there was talk of him convincing clients. I believe this was in the Hulu documentary, The Housewife and the Hustler, about how part of the way he would keep money from the clients was by saying that he was going to invest that money into other business ventures to help them build their bank. was this one of the investments that he was putting client money into? And did he get them to approve that? And were they fully aware of the scope of what the investment actually was? Because from the book, from this chapter, again, Tom and Erika, neither one of them looked at this as being a money generator. So if he was using this to get clients to invest in it, that also seems a little fishy and dishonest, considering he really didn't expect to make money off of it. The other interesting part, she says that the Erika Jayne project was only possible because she was self-funded, meaning Tom basically paid for everything. There didn't seem to be an agency or a management company that was really behind her building the money. It seemed like they probably took her on as a client because they knew Tom Girardi seemingly had endless assets that they can use to really build a music career out of this. And then the interesting part, and this is the part that Ronald Richards continues to bring up, is about the IRS and the tax returns. Now, we now know that he was writing off the expenses that she was sending over to him. She would rack up the bills, send the bills to Girardi Keese. Tom would pay them and then write them off as loans. And so it's interesting because in the book she also writes, or in this chapter she also writes, it's our money. Do you know how I know? Because the IRS tells me that it is. My name's on the tax returns too. So this is the part that Ronald Richards constantly brings up, because he's like, oh, she's culpable, she's liable in the sense that she knew that the loans were being written off as that the expenses are being written off as loans, therefore she should have to pay. Yes and no. Usually when these tax filings happen, especially for people that have a lot of money or have, high profile, like I've, openly talked about the celebs that I used to work with back in the day, typically you're not reading every single line of the tax returns. You have accountants and you have business managers that are taking care of that with you. I think she's definitely swinging her dick around and trying to be like, look, I signed these tax returns. It's my money too. I don't think she actually read these tax returns, and I don't think she was actually aware of what Tom was doing. I think Tom knew what Tom was doing, or whoever was managing the books knew what Tom was doing. I'm still not fully convinced, but this is incriminating. But then it also goes into the fact that, other legal analysts and commentators, including Ronald Richards himself, have said that, anything she says on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills isn't necessarily applicable in court, that you really have to, it depends on what is said when she's under oath. Whatever is sworn into the court before the judge, that's where it really matters. She can say whatever she wants on a reality show, which, Ron has disclosed to me when I've spoken to him personally. So in at the same time, just to play devil's advocate, what's different between what she says on the television show and what she writes in a book? Like, what's the difference? If neither of them are sworn under oath, then neither of them should necessarily be incriminating necessarily. I do agree where there's smoke, there's fire. I think she definitely let her ego get the best of her in writing this, but only time will tell how it all plays out. She talks about how this producer guy, Peter, helped her develop a lot of her songs. And then she goes into the mission behind the Pretty Mess brand. And she says that it was built on 3 key words. These 3 keywords may be important in quiz time later if you want to win some no filter wine. Pretty Mess was built on fantasy, love, and escape. Escape. So those are the 3 principles for the Pretty Mess brand: fantasy, love, and escape. These sound like Britney Spears perfumes. She also says that eventually the mission evolved to also include glitz, glamour, and fun. So Erika Jayne, the Pretty Mess, is built on fantasy, love, and escape, and then later glitz, glam, and fun. She actually, interestingly enough, says that she hated the Erika Jayne name, but then she found out that Joan Crawford also hated the Erika Jayne name, and it was named by Peter, the producer, and how, he was like, well, the only thing that goes good with Erika is Jane, so you're going to be Erika Jayne, bitch. And she was like, fine, I guess I'll be Erika Jayne. And then she says that it was really painful for her to get back into it. It wasn't as natural as she expected, but she persevered. I guess when you're 35 and you're trying to do dance moves like you're 18 again, it is going to take a little time. She talks about her first gig, which was at the Pleasure Zone, which is basically a swingers spot. It's called the Pleasure Zone, which like the G spot. I guess that's where couples would go and find pleasure and, pleasure from other couples, I guess. She said it was an Asian swingers event at the Pleasure Zone. She said that she was performing and it was her first big performance. She was so excited. She's like, yes, it's expensive to be me. And then the DJ was going so hard, probably because he was coked up or something. And then he blew out all the speakers and then the whole thing was shut down and she didn't know what to do. So she just ran off the stage like she did in Pippin. back in high school, except this was unintentional and she didn't know what to do. She goes into talking about how she's performed all over and she's performed everywhere and she always says yes to every single gig, and how strippers would come up to her and they were like, oh my God, I love dancing to your music. And she's like, oh my God, that's the best compliment. Thanks, boo. She's like, I wasn't a stripper. I was a go-go dancer, but thank you. And they were like, She said that she made the most out of the resources that she had. And then she ended up hitting #1 on the dance club charts, which was huge for her. And she was so excited. And she told Tom about it. And Tom was like, wow, does that mean I'm actually going to make some money off of this? And she's like, still no, honey. But, thanks for buying me this spot. And so she thinks very highly of her work ethic and her drive. I mean, in the way that she describes it, it does sound like she's a really hard worker, and she really invested a lot into building the Pretty Mess brand and into building the Erika Jayne music career. Said that her first album, which was titled Pretty Mess, listening back to it, it's a little wobbly, but it gets the point across. It sounds like a beginning, and it was, a nice place for her to start. She says that without Erika Jayne, though, Erica Girardi would be just another rich bitch with the plane. It sounds like she's got Erika Jayne, but she's also no longer a rich bitch, and that plane seems to be on layaway. But she says that she needed satisfaction, and that shopping and sitting on charity boards and standing by her husband's side, it was getting old. And she was like, I need satisfaction. And Erika gave her that, or Erika Jayne gave her that satisfaction. I agree, Sue. It is a very expensive hobby. Then we get into chapter 11. It's called Glitz, Glamour, and Fun. And she talks about how she performed at Gay Pride in West Hollywood for the first time back in 2011. And it's where she started working with Mikey, who we know of as her creative director on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then I was like, hold up, wait a minute, where's Travis? I thought she was all into Travis Payne, but now she's not into Travis Payne because now she's got Mikey to replace Travis Payne. Or maybe Travis Payne was like, all right, I milked this cow enough. It's time to move on. So it was at the Gay Pride parade in West Hollywood in 2011 that she had her Beyonce moment and fell down on stage. But then she was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Am I going to run off again back when we were at the pleasure zone? And then she looked at the side of the stage, and Mikey was there, and he looked at her like, bitch, do not give up. You go, girl. Do it. Like Shia LaBeouf, do it. And then she got up and she did it. And she said that her ankle was like broken, but she danced with it anyway. And she's like, boom, it's hurting to be me. But I'm gonna do it. And she said that Erika Jayne needed a change. It needed, a fresh, youthful revamp. And she met Mikey, and he was only 24, and he had been working with the Pussycat Dolls, and he was helping her, and she brought him in to help her develop her image, both in the music videos and just the overall brand of Erika Jayne, and how it was meant to be sensory overload. It was meant to be too much. It was meant to be super extra. And as we know it is, we've seen some of those confessionals. So she talks about how she ended up working with a new producer, and this new producer made her like super poppy, and it was super extra, or not extra, but she said it was more mainstream, when she didn't really like the mainstream vibe because it didn't feel original. It didn't feel authentic to her. She said that she was losing creative control. And then she did this song with Flo Rida, and it was called Get It Tonight. And it's actually a pretty interesting bop. I was listening to it, and it's, it's a fun little summer vibe, but she's like, it wasn't me. It's not Erika Jayne's sensibility. It's Erika Jayne trying to be too young. But I was like, wasn't Erika Jayne just like naturally trying to be a little too young? But hey, that's neither here nor there. She talks about how any other artist could have sang Get It Tonight with Flo Rida, and how it didn't differentiate her in any single way. It wasn't anything special. She hated the project. She hated the team behind her. So she ended up cutting them. And then she's like, Mikey, come back. I miss you, boo. And he's like, all right, bitch, I've been waiting for that Girardi money. Let's get it. So then she started working with I believe it was a new music label, EMI, and how, they just started performing again and things were going really well. She went on a trip to Singapore with Mikey, and she took all of her dancers with her. And, she just kind of chronicles the trajectory of the Erika Jayne music career. She talks about how Painkiller was a big hit. Painkiller was the one that she showed the music video of to Bethany Frankel when they did the crossover of Real Houses of New York / Beverly Hills, and they went out to the Hamptons, and she's like, look at my music video. And then Bethany's like, I don't understand your brand. What is your brand? Who is Mikey? You need to hire me to fix your brand. And she said it was Painkiller. And then from Painkiller came How Many Fucks? How many fucks do I give? 0, 0, none, not one. And then from there, eventually, the final song that she ended up releasing and producing was Expensive. It's expensive to be me. And she talks about how Mikey is one of her best friends and one of her closest confidants. It's interesting now, though, considering we haven't really seen Mikey around much. And I'm curious to see if he's still standing by her, if he still is her best confidant, if he still is her close friend. Like, where's Mikey? I want to know, like, where you at, boy? We haven't seen him show. Like, we've seen her publicist, Jack, has shown some support for her. I think he sent her like a birthday gift. We know a lot of her original crew is still around, but Mikey is seemingly MIA, or maybe he just doesn't want to be dragged into any of this. But, you know, he's missing in action, and everyone's trying to figure out what happened to Mikey. We need to start putting his picture up on milk cartons because nobody knows where he went. And then she talks about how she closes the chapter by saying she ended up performing at Gay Pride in West Hollywood again, but this time she performed in June 2017, and how originally they put her on the small stage and how this time they put her on the main stage. And she's like, that's right. I'm a rich bitch. Boom. We are breaking down Pretty Mess by Erika Jayne, and we're getting into our final chapter of the night. Getting a little sweaty. Getting into our final chapter of the night, which was chapter 12, Reborn on the 4th of July. Baby, you're a firework. Look, I can do it. If Erika Jayne can do it, why can't I? Let me see what you're worth. Boom, boom, boom. Shining brighter than the moon, moon, moon. Pat the puss, pat the puss. See, I got this down, you guys. Book me for Gay Pride next year. So she opens up the chapter talking about the gays and how she loves the gays because Erika Jayne is all about having the audacity to be herself and not give a fuck. And she's like, this is my life and this is who I am. And how that really resonated with the gay community because, you know, we are very much, you know, unapologetic about who we are. This is my life. This is who I am. I sing Baby, I'm a Firework, and I rock it, even though I can't sing, but so can, you know, a lot of people in Hollywood, and how we don't give a fuck. And the gays liked that. And the gays, you know, saw that as a symbol that they wanted to aspire to be, or not, or if not inspired to be, then channel more of. And then she said that there was one time where she was performing at this very wet club called Splash, and how the Splash was by her son's school. And then her son was walking down the street one day with his friends, and they were like, ooh, who's that hot chick on the flyer? And then her son was like, oh my God, that's my mom. Oh my God. And then he went home and he was like, really, mom? Really? And she was like, really? Or what? Or what, son? Or what? And he was like, okay, cool. And then she talks about how talks about a performance at a circuit party out in San Francisco. And she said that her dancers were like really young and they didn't have their IDs on them because their outfits were really skimpy. And I mean, apparently it's not that expensive to be her if the outfits are so tiny. And so they didn't have their IDs on them. And then the security was like, hold up, wait a minute. If you don't have your ID on me, then you can't come in. And they were like, but we're 21. Like, we are of age to come into the club, up in the club, get it tonight with Flo Rida. And they were like, no way, Jose, we're not letting you in. And Erika Jayne's like, what do you mean you're not letting me in? You can't do that. And she's like, you have to let us in because we're performing tonight. Or what? Or what? And then the security guard, who was a police officer for San Francisco, he was like, all right, fine, you can finally, I'll let you go in. You can do it. And she's like, good. You ever call me a liar again? I'm coming for you. And then the police officer was like, oof, girl. And then she went in. And she talked about how they tried to boot her immediately after getting into the club. And she says that she's like, I'm not rude, especially when challenged like this. Like, I try to make sure I'm very direct, but I'm not rude. And I guess she's only rude if your name is Sutton Strack. And basically the security guard was like, listen, you said something to someone and now you need to leave. And she was like, what did I say to someone? And he's like, you said something to someone and now you have to leave. And she's like, what does that mean? And then he was like, you have to leave. That's what that means. And she's like, or what? Or what? And he was like, or get your ass out. And then she packed up her things and she walked out, and she didn't get to perform that night. Then she talks about another performance that was booked by Tom Girardi, and he called her one day and he was like, she was like, hey, pimp. And he was like, hey, ho. That's a what do you call it? A shout out to Real Houses of Potomac. She was like, hey, pimp. And he was like, I booked you for a performance, but I'm not giving you the details on the performance. And she's like, well, what is this performance? I need to know what I'm performing at. And he's like, you just need to show up because it's going to be an interesting experience. You're going to do this, Erika. And she was like, well, I at least want to know what it is. And then she found out that he volunteered her to perform at a barbecue for soldiers, for sailors on a ship. And so she was like, what? Like, I'm going to be like on a aircraft ship for like service members? And he was like, yeah, you're going to do this because it's going to be an interesting experience. And she was like, okay, boss. And then she went to Mikey and she's like, the boss said we had to do it. And Mikey was like, this is kind of weird. And she's like, I know it's kind of weird. I don't really want to do it, but we can't say no to the boss. And they called him the boss. And I was like, well, I guess if he's paying all the bills, he's technically the boss. And she ended up doing the gig and she went with Mikey and they had like all of these, or Navy. Yes. Thank you, Sue. It was the Navy. And so she went to go perform for them and she said it was a great experience and they had the time of their lives, and how one of the sailors came up to her and he was like, oh my God, my wife is such a big fan and she loves you. And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much for knowing who I am. And he was like, of course I know who you are. I saw the flyer on the way over here and I saw your OnlyFans, JK. And she spoke with so many soldiers and she had a great time. And she soldiered on despite the ship moving, being on a little stage with a moving ship. And she said that it was 127 degrees and there was so much wind that her weave kept flowing back into her face, but she was still patting the puss and they loved it. And that's the end of chapter 12. And that's chapter 10, 11, and 12. So how do we feel about this, everybody? Did we love these chapters? I loved the earlier chapters. The first 9 chapters I thought were good. I thought that they were very, very telling. Aside from her talking about her role in Tom's businesses and then the line about the tax returns, which obviously we know is now a little incriminating. Aside from that, I kind of felt these chapters to be a little lackluster. I liked the earlier chapters, but these chapters were just a little meh for me. And I do kind of hate saying that because I feel like that's kind of mean, but I'm not meaning to be mean. I'm meaning to own it, baby. Own it. Yeah, these are boring. Yeah, these were not the best chapters. Like earlier, like getting into her psyche and her childhood and her upbringing. Like I actually enjoyed and appreciated that. These chapters were just very much about Erika Jayne and very much about all the people that she's met. And there was a lot of like name dropping and like names of people we didn't really know. But I mean, I guess it is the middle of the book as well. So it's not meant to be that exciting. Okay, let's do some bad shout outs and then I'll read some of your responses. Okay, Suki D Intin 2018. Thanks, boo. 3 badges. Thank you, Suki. Suki. Yeah. Gossip in a Glass with 3 badges. Thank you, Gossip in a Glass. Love you, boo. Saw that you were rocking the Liddy City tank top tonight. Cheers, my dear. Your wine is on its way. I fucked up and I didn't put that in until this morning. So just know that your wine will be coming by next week. You should have the wine. But thank you, Gossip in a Glass, for the 3 badges. Is that a badge for every single week that you've won in quiz time? Like you are slaying quiz time. Chrissy 37X, thank you so much for the 3 badges. Alana McLean official. Alana McLean. Interesting. Do you like cleaning, Alana? Or do you hate cleaning because your name is McLean? McLean, Mr. Clean. Thank you for the 2 badges, Alana. BM Garcia 0811. What? That's my prison number, bitch. What's going on, BM Garcia? Thank you for the 3 badges. Thank you, guys. Love you. Mean it. Liddy City. Titty. Hey. Ooh, more badges. Thank you so much, My Life Eastons. With the Z at the end. I love everything with the Z at the end and everything with the Z at the start. 3 badges. Love it. Love you guys. Thank you so much. What were your thoughts of these 3 chapters? I know Ansley said that they were a little boring. Any other thoughts about 10, 11, or 12 before we move into quiz time? I feel like we're just trailblazing through tonight's book club. Talk to me. Order nofilterwine.com, guys. Nofilterwine.com. We might be coming up with a fun holiday collection soon. We may be doing a fun white wine soon. Wink, wink. All right, shall we move into quiz time then? If nobody else has any other thoughts, it was slow. These chapters, I agree, were slow. These 3 chapters, I tried to speed it up and I tried to make it as entertaining as possible. But like, Sue, come on, girl. These chapters were they dragged on a bit, if we're being real. All right, I guess we're ready for, they were interesting, but very slow pace. I agree. And I also listened to the audiobook and I had it on the 1.5. That way it went by a little faster. Even then it was super slow, not juicy at all. And I wouldn't say it wasn't not juicy at all, like altogether, because I think it's interesting where she talks about her role in Tom's business, which really wasn't that juicy, but role in the business. And then what else did she talk about? Oh, the tax return stuff. So, I mean, aside from those two lines that were in the first chapter, there wasn't much more to it. All right. So shall we do quiz time? So, okay. Quiz time. If you want to enter to win a Liddy City tank top or a no filter hat, then it is time to join the quiz time. I'm also going to be, I wasn't supposed to say this, but anyway, I'm going to be launching some new merch this fall. So if you want first dibs on the merch, if you continue to win the giveaways, maybe I will give away. I think we'll start with Liddy City tank top, then we'll move over to a hat, then we'll move on to the new exclusive merch, and then we'll move on to no filter wine. Gossip and Glass got lucky though, because she has been killing it every week. Okay, are we ready for quiz time? Let's go. Question number 1 from chapter 10. What was the name of the choreographer that Erika went to high school with and later helped create Erika Jayne? What was the name of the choreographer? It was not Pippin. Tina, it was not Pippin, but Pippin may or may not be Travis Payne. Good Lori. Good Lord, Lori. Oh, Lori. Oh, hi, Lori. Oh, good Lord, Lori. Lori got point number 1. Sorry, I'm going to write down these points. Everybody. Uno momento. Yes, Travis Payne is the correct answer. But the point went to Lori. Lori, because she was the first one to answer. You get it, Lori. The correct answer is Travis Payne. Good Lord, Lori. Okay. Question number 2. Are you ready? What was the name of the musical they starred in together in high school? The one that Erika walked out on. What was the name of the musical they starred in together? The one that Erika walked out on. Pippin. Damn, Lori. Damn, Lori. Good Lord, Lori. Lori is coming in 2 points. Lori is in it to win it. Pepping. It is not Pepping, Hughes Tex Girl, but that's close. The point goes to Lori. Good Lord, Lori. Ooh, next question. Erika said that I think now we've moved into we're still in chapter 10, sorry. Erika said that the Pretty Mess brand was built around these 3 words. What were the original 3 words that the brand was built around? Dun, dun, dun. People are answering before you even finish asking the question. They know. Damn, Tina. Tina, she's cheating. I think you are cheating, Tina. That was very fast. Like, I don't even remember finishing the question before you answered that. Okay, Tina Marie Bells. Tina Marie Bells came to play. Yes, the correct answer is fantasy, love, and escape. Probably because some of you guys were actually taking notes. You're learning that you have to take notes during the recaps. Okay, Tina. Okay, so Lori has 2 points. Tina has 1 point. Let's move on to question number 4. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, the 3 original words were fantasy, love, and escape. The 3 new words, which I technically would have taken, but I was looking for the original 3, but the 3 others were glitz, glamour, and fun. But the correct answer was fantasy, love, and escape. Even Lori cheated. I'm sure Lori did. I snuck him the answers beforehand. Where's Gossip in a Glass? I feel like she's getting lost this week. She's like, I won 3 weeks. I got all the prizes. I'm good. Okay, question number 4. Which Pride Parade did Erika first work with Mikey on? What city was it held in? What was the Pride Parade? Where was the Pride Parade? I'm looking for the city here. The first Pride Parade, I believe it was in 2011. What was the city? No, it was not Pleasure Zone. No, in 2011. I'm not looking for the year. I'm looking for, well, I mean, I get you can include 2011 gay. That is incorrect. 2011 gay. Tina Marie Bells got it. Tina Marie is the first person to answer West Hollywood. Damn, we have a tie. Tina Marie. The correct answer was West Hollywood. or 2011 West Hollywood. I was mainly just looking for the city. West Hollywood was, yes, 20. Oh, yes. For Chrissy got it. Chrissy got the full answer. 2011 San Fran. That is incorrect. Okay. Question number 5. What was the name of the single Erika released with Flo Rida? There was a single that she released and she hated it. And she's like, I don't blame Flo Rida, but I blame the team behind us. She hated that single, but what was the single? Doing something at some time. It was not Painkiller. That is incorrect. Get it tonight. Lori's back in the game, back in the lead, Lori. That is correct. The answer is Get It Tonight. Boom. Good Lord, Lori is in the lead with 3 points. Tina Marie has 2 points. Get it, get it, get it. And throw them hips, girl. Ansley, you always get the answers correct, but you're always like the 4th person to answer. You got to get some fast fingers, girl. Just a get a little keyboard. Okay. Next question. Question number 6. There are only 9 tonight, so it looks like it may be Lori or Tina. Okay. Next question. What was the last song that Erika Jayne released? What was the last song that Erika Jayne released? This is lightly in the book, but it's more of like, you know, if you know Erika Jayne, which one was it? That's why you got to keep trying, Ansley. Expensive. Damn. Expensive. That is correct. Jay Jana Loves You. All right. Jay Jana Loves You. Got it. It was not Zero Fucks. It was expensive. It was Painkiller, then Zero Fucks, or what? How many fucks do I get? How many fucks was the name of the song? And then the last song was Expensive. It's expensive to be me. My neighbor's probably looking at me like I'm crazy. Come on, Ansley, you got this. I'm rooting for you, girl. Wow. So JJ Loves You swooped in, and she's cock blocking Lori from winning this game. Question number 7. Are we ready? There are only 9 questions tonight, guys. Question number 7. What was the name of the San Francisco club Erika and her crew were thrown out of? Remember, with the security guard, and she was like, or what? And he was like, or I'm going to throw you out. She's like, I'm coming for you. What was the name of the San Francisco club? Remember, it was very wet. Splash. Wow. Lori is fucking on it. Lori, I need to know, Lori, did you study or did you take notes? Like what? I need to know your strategy because you are so fast. Wow. It was a circuit party in San Francisco. Yes, it was. And it was held at Splash. Okay. Question number 8. There are only 2 questions left. Who booked Erika's 4th of July gig performing for the soldiers on a ship, the Navy soldiers? Who booked it? A note taker. Smart, Lori. Very smart. She's typing before you read the question. She knows where the question is going. I was a bar manager. You got to take notes, Tom Girardi. That's right. Wow. Lori is just like, fuck you guys. I'm here to play and I'm here to kill. Like she's not even here to win. She's here to kill. She's literally gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Last question. Obviously, I think Lori's going to get it. Last question. What did Erika and Mikey often refer to Tom as? What do Mikey and Erika often refer to Tom as? They don't call him Tom. They call him what? When Erika called and she told Tommy, so-and-so booked this gig. We got to do it. What does she call him? Boss. Yes. Lamp Me 54. That's right, Lori, but you got beat out by this one. Okay. Lamp Me 54. Got the last question, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. 5 points go to Good Lord Lori. And Good Lord Lori is the winner. Tina got 2 points. JJ Loves You got 1 point. Lamp Me 54 got 1 point. But Lori is the winner tonight. Congrats, Good Lord Lori. Good Lord, Lori was on it tonight. Hey. Get it. And throw them hips, girl. Good job, Lori. Thank you, LV Nights Girl. It's very sweet of you to congratulate the winners. Laura, you are the new boss tonight. Okay, you have won a Liddy City tank top, girl. So send me your size and your address, your shipping address. Just DM me the size of shirt that you want. Starting my second drink just for you. Yes, cheers, boo. Cheers. Cheers, everybody. I cannot type that fast. I don't even try. Oh, but Sue, you have all the answers. You're a moment. Who? I'm a moment or Lori's a moment? Who's a moment? What's a moment? Holla, hey. It's expensive to be me. Guys, next week is our last book club for Erika Jayne. What are we going to read next? We have to vote on what book we're going to read next. Zack, I'm going to send you a picture of my notes. Oh my God, please do. Tag me, post it to stories and tag me. All of the, any of the fun notes, or if you guys are drinking at home tonight, or if you have a copy of your book or whatever it is, like post it to your Instagram story and tag me, because I love seeing them and I would love to reshare them. But congrats, good Lord Lori. Please DM me after this or when we wrap. DM me the size of shirt that you want and your shipping address. And I'll make sure we get that sent out ASAP. All right. Thank you, guys. This was such a fun book club tonight. I mean, well, it was fun because we made it fun. The chapters were not that fun. They were not that exciting. I was a little disappointed, TBH. I took notes too. Send me your notes, guys. I really want to see what your notes look like, or just see what notes you actually took. Like, what did you think was important that I mentioned? I'm off next Tuesday and I'm coming for the hat. I'm off next Tuesday and I'm coming for the hat, then wine. All right, good Lord Lori. Okay, hey. Are you doing an after party tonight? I wasn't planning on it. I was just gonna cook dinner. I don't know if I have anything super. I mean, if anybody wants me to do an after party tonight, maybe we'll do a quick one on my personal account, Just Plain Zack. TBD. It's up to you guys if you guys want to do. If there's enough demand to do, maybe we'll do a quick little after party tonight. But you have to come to after party with like good notes or good questions, like juicy questions, whatever you want to know. Oh, maybe I'll give you some Katie Couric's, but Katie Couric is not a housewife. She's not part of Bravo, girl. This is Bravo Book Club. I actually, now that you mentioned Katie's, the new Ronald Richards tea. Oh, I have new Ronald Richards tea. I do. I can't say anything yet, but I will give you some new Ronald Richards tea, or at least like some stuff, because there have been a lot of questions that have, are you ready for Beverly Hills finale? Yes, I am. So ready. So ready. I don't know if it's, I mean, there have been conversations behind the scenes. Maybe you guys can help me make a decision. I'll loop you in on what's going on, because none of the lives are saved. So I know I'm in a safe space. I have so many about Salt Lake, Beverly Hills, and Vanderpump. Yes. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning into Book Club. Next week will be our final week for Pretty Mess. We're going to read the last 3 chapters and break them down next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, here on Instagram Live at No Filter with Zack. After party will happen at Just Plain Zack in just a few minutes. Be sure to stock up on some No Filter. Please keep supporting the wine, guys. Thank you so much for supporting it already. So grateful. Really appreciate all of you. You can stock up at nofilterwine.com. It's 14% alcohol by volume, but less than a gram of sugar. And DM, or I think I'll do like a poll of what our next book should be. I know we've talked about doing Dave Quinn's book, Not All Diamonds and Rosé. Not all rosé and diamonds. I think it's Not All Diamonds and Rosé. So I know we will start that one, but we may have to skip a week if we end up doing that book, because I know that there's a gap between when the book actually comes out and when we wrap up Erika Jayne's book. So we may end up, it'll depend, or maybe we'll do, we'll figure it out, guys. We will figure it out. But next week is the final week of Erika Jayne's book, final 3 chapters. We'll break them down. So get ready. I will see you next Tuesday. And I will also see you this Thursday. We're going live here on Instagram. Every Thursday, we go live at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 Eastern at No Filter with Zack. So I will see you guys then. Thank you so much. I want to see you work the poll. Okay, fleeky and freaky. You know I can get fleeky and freaky. Doing them yoga. I've been binging Vanderpump Rules until season 11 of Real Houses of Beverly Hills comes out on Hulu. Ooh, smart. The early seasons of Vanderpump Rules are great. All right, guys. Love you. Talk to you later. Ciao for now. I'm hopping over on my personal account right now. I will talk to you very, very soon.